Hey, what's going on, broadcasters? Today, I'm going to teach you how to use Mailchimp. Now, this is going to be important because it's going to help you to send emails out to your listeners and to your mini audiences. And with Mailchimp, you're going to be able to segment your mini audience from your general listeners. You're going to be able to really manage mass emails effectively. Because if you don't have a tool like this, you use Gmail or Outlook or one of the personal email services, what happens is it can get quite tedious and you'll end up having to constantly cut paste emails into a field, and then if you get the field wrong, you can end up giving away people's personal information. So Mailchimp is a really great tool for this. I'm going to take you through a few different steps, and as we go, I will show you little tips and tricks to make this as easy as possible. So let's get started. So first things first, with your emails, you're going to want to produce a CSV list. Now, CSV is a fancy way of saying an Excel spreadsheet. And the key thing that you want to remember with your Excel spreadsheet is that for each column, it should be laid out like this. You should have your first name, you should have your last name, and then you should have your email. And these are the only three columns you really need to worry about. And this is really important because you're going to have to match these up in Mailchimp once you have this all together. So what I'm going to do right now is I am going to save this CSV, right? I'm going to save this as a CSV. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click File, I'm going to click Save As, and then I'm going to put Paleo with Chris. And then from here, where it says Format, I'm going to come down to comma separated values, which is what CSV stands for. So I'm going to put that in here, click Save. Okay. So it's Paleo with Chris.csv, and you can see that up here right now. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to head back over to my Mailchimp and create a list. All right, guys, so now we're on Mailchimp, and that's at www.mailchimp.com. Now, Mailchimp is, like I said, very inexpensive. It's a really great service that people use. In fact, if your list is small enough, and I think if you're under a certain amount, it's actually free. But as your list grows, you start to pay more. I have a list of several thousand, and I pay under $30 a month, which is pretty cool. Compared to a lot of different services that are out there. But the first thing you're going to want to do once you get into Mailchimp is you're going to come to your page here and you are going to want to create a list. So I'm going to click on List. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come all the way over here to Create List. I'm going to click on that. And then I'm going to call this Paleo with Chris listeners, and I'm going to put 2.0 because I did this before. And then I'm going to put default from email address is going to be my personal email. Default from name is going to be my name. Okay. And then little reminder about how they got onto the list. So you signed up for this list to get amazing information from Chris about paleo. Whoops, plyo. Okay. And then I generally like to put something like this in. Please add this address to your inbox so that this valuable information doesn't end up in your spam file. Now, it's important to put that because one, if emails go into the spam file, it's likely they're never going to be found. And you're working hard to give them value. You should be giving them value. Your email shouldn't be, hey, buy this, do that. It should be giving them some sort of value every time they get an email from you. So you really want to make sure that that's in there and that you're reminding them that, hey, I work hard on these emails. Let's not let them go into the spam file. So the other thing you need to put here is you need to make sure that your address is here, your mailing address. Now, this is part of the Can Spam Act here in the United States. Your business address needs to be up there, and it needs to be an actual mailing address. And if you're sending emails to anybody within the U.S., that's a big factor there that you have to abide by. And then if you want to get a daily summary of your notifications, anybody who signs up for your email list, and we talk about getting people to sign up for your email list in the Business Accelerator, not in this course, but you can sign up for a daily summary there. And then click Save. Okay, the next thing we want to do is we want to import our subscribers. Now, I'm going to take that list that I just made with my single person, John Smith, and I'm going to import that list here, that CSV. And as you can see, you can select CSV, you can select XLS, which is a normal Excel file, or you can select integrated service. I'm selecting CSV here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on browse. Just like I'm going to add that list that I just created, and that's going to be that Paleo with Chris right here. So I added that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click next. Okay. Now you can see that that email has imported along with the first and last names. And again, this is why it's important to get those columns right on your CSV file, your Excel spreadsheet. So the first column, first name, second column, last name, third column, email address, right? These are the most important parts of the list. So we got that, click that, save, check, save, that's correct. And that's correct as well. Okay, then we're going to click next. Okay, so we're all set to import here. So I'm importing, I'm categorized the imported contacts as subscribed. So importing. Awesome. So you see, I've created that list. Paleo with Chris, listeners 2.0. And I have one person on there. All right, guys. So the next thing we want to do is we want to create an email. Now, there's a few different options as you go through this. I don't want you to worry about any of them except for creating an actual email for the purposes of this course. When we get into the Business Accelerator, we start talking about doing automated emails and things like that, building up your email list and those types of things. For our purposes right now, we're just trying to get word out about our podcast. And so when we're doing this, we're going to focus on creating an individual email and blasting that out. So what I want you to do is I want you to click on campaigns. Okay. And then when you click on campaigns, you're going to have your other email lists. If you have them up here, as you can see, I have my email lists over here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to click on create campaign. And then from here, don't click create an ad, click on create an email. And that's right down here. Okay. And then we're going to create a campaign name for that. And I'm just going to call it Paleo with Chris podcast episode 1. Begin. Okay. Now I'm going to choose a list. Paleo with Chris listeners 2.0. And then I'm going to click next right down here. Now, here's the thing. You can start to segment your group, right? So you can click certain dates. So if you were to do a group or a new segment, you just click on this. And what Mailchimp allows you to do is you can say contacts that match any of the following conditions. Email address is blank, right? You can go to, I think it's campaign activity, right? And open any of the last 5 email campaigns. You can go to date added, right? So obviously, if you're trying to get just your mini audience, it would probably be the first group of people that are on your email address. So you can say date is after or before a specific date. And so that's how you can email to a specific segment. For this, we're going to email the entire list, and then we're going to click next. Okay. And then the subject matter is a very important thing, because this is what gets people to open their emails, right? And there's a whole science behind creating an email subject and an effective email subject that's going to get people to open the email. And usually that's centered around a value add, which is why your podcast title was so important, right? The episode title is so important. So what we're going to say is 5 ways to eat lunch without getting stains on your shirt. So, little funny value add there, but that's what we're doing. And the preview text just gives you a little bit of an idea of what is in the email. So I'm going to say, in this episode, Chris speaks with Ziri about lunch. Cool. Okay, so we got that done. And then what I like to do is I like to click personalize the to field with F name. That's the code name for first name. And usually this helps in getting the email service that the listener is using to think that this is absolutely not spam. All right. Okay, so once we have all set up, what we're going to do is we're just going to check this over. Okay, and I'm not too worried about anything down here. And then we are going to click next. Okay, awesome. So the next thing I want to do is I want to click create a template. Now there's a bunch of fancy templates up here, and none of them are too effective. And the reason why none of them are too effective is because most email services aren't going to open up your pictures, your fancy flourishes and things like that. The email service is probably going to detect that as spam. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go with simple text. Okay. Now with Mailchimp, it's really easy to edit an email. What happens is you just click over here and then you come over here to edit. So we're going to change that header up, and then we're going to put episode 1 of Paleo with Chris is now live. Okay. Now, one thing to keep in mind here, and again, this is stuff we teach on the Business Accelerator, but I want to give you guys this tip. Don't use words like free or salesy words that appear like spam anywhere in your email. And the reason why you don't want to do that is, again, because email services have become super sensitive about spam. And this is true whether we're using something like Mailchimp or something like Gmail or anything like that, personal email services. You don't want to use things like free or any kind of salesy terms in an email that you're ever constructing. So we're going to put this email here. So, and then what we're going to do is we're going to use merge tags here. So you see this over here, and then we're going to go down to first name. Click on that. Just put a comma. And again, that helps us with avoiding the spam box. And I'm going to put here the long awaited date is now here. Paleo, or episode 1 of Paleo with Chris is now published. In this episode, Chris talks about one of the greatest mysteries known to man: getting through lunch without a stain on your shirt. You can find the episode here. and I'm going to click here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my Shout engine. All right. And we see we're on the Broadcast Yourself podcast over here. And this is not Paleo with Chris, but we'll use this as an example. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the URL for our first episode here, episode 1, as you can see, and we're going to copy that URL. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight that word here. Okay. And I'm going to do it in the editor over here. And then I'm going to go up to this link. I'm going to paste that URL right there. Okay. And that will create that as a link here. Okay. Hope you enjoy the show, Chris. Okay, so your email can obviously be a lot more, inviting than that. As I said before, just as writing a good subject line is a whole science. So is writing a good email that people will actually read and get through and things like that. So you can, really, really get your copywriting down to a science. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to preview this email. So I'm going to enter preview mode. I just want to make sure that I'm checking the links here. So I'm going to check that link. And I can see that goes over to the Broadcast Yourself podcast. Awesome. So the link is good. I'm checking on mobile. Cool. Awesome. We'll put here. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to click out of this by clicking X. All right. I'm going to save and close this. I'm going to click next down here. Okay. And then we're all set. We can click send. All right. I'm not going to click send just in case there's somebody with an email that's johnsmith@gmail.com. I don't want them to get that email. So guys, this stuff is very, very valuable. Learning how to create emails and send out mass emails is a valuable part of running a media company and running any company nowadays. Email is super effective at getting people to convert and getting people to buy things down the line whenever you start to convert your podcast into a business. And so once we get into this, I want you to learn as much as possible about it. Read books about email writing. And if you're interested in learning a whole lot more about the art and science of email marketing, you can check us out on the Business Accelerator course as well. So with that, I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know if you have any questions whatsoever, and I'll be back at you very soon.